I don't have an intro. Hold on a second. Let me think of an intro.
Shit.
What is this podcast? Were we a Steven Universe watching the podcast?
I guess. I mean, it's not a rewatch podcast.
Yeah, because you've never watched it before. We are definitely watching the show.
Yeah.
But it's not like a first time watching, not like a reaction pod, because I've seen the show multiple times. So I feel like I have for Steven Universe the same nostalgia other people have for we'll talk about it. We should probably start the show so we can talk about things. Gotta do it for the content. Okay. And thank you for tuning in to Gay Space Rocks, a Steven Universe watching podcast. We'll eventually figure out what the fuck this show is. We are going to watch the series of Steven Universe and talk about it. This seems less exciting when I say it out loud.
I mean, I don't know. I'm excited.
I am also excited because I love this show so fucking much. I am your host, Brian. You can find me on the internet at RoomWarePod. I use he, him pronouns. At RoomWarePod. Hit me up on Twitter. You can also find this podcast on Twitter if you want to. I don't know what it's doing yet because I literally just made it like a couple of weeks ago and just added an image to it today. So I don't know what the fuck this podcast is going to do on the internet, but you can follow it at Gay Space Pod. With me, as always, is my co-host, August.
Hey, I'm August. You can find me on Twitter at HarpyDora, and I use they, them pronouns.
So if we seem awkward, it's because I don't think August or I have done a non-actual play podcast. Period.
Ever.
So we've just we're wandering well outside of our lane today, and hopefully for a long time because there's a lot of this fucking show. So the basic idea here is that I, Brian, have seen Steven Universe multiple times. I started watching it during the season 1, kind of close to the end of season 1 as season 2 was starting to premiere. So I've been watching this show for a long fucking time because it took a long fucking time for 5 seasons of a television show to come out. Let me fucking tell you. And August, you haven't ever watched the series.
I've seen a couple of episodes, and I have absorbed a bunch of spoilers because I am terminally online.
Right. You're gay and on the internet.
Yeah.
So...
yeah, pretty much.
If it wasn't obvious from the title of this fucking show, like August and I are like hella queers. We're very gay and we're very online. I feel like that's an accurate description of us.
Yeah.
So basically, like, I've been wanting to rewatch this show for a long time. I mean, I have rewatched the show. Nothing stops me from rewatching media. I just do it because I have insomnia and a lot of time to kill. But I've been wanting to do kind of like this format of a show for a while, talking about Steven Universe, because I really like it. And now it's finally a done thing, in theory. All 5 seasons of the regular show have come out. The movie has come out, and Steven Universe Future has wrapped. And I've processed my emotions since March about the show wrapping. And we'll get there in a long time. We'll get there. We'll get to Steven Universe Future eventually. The way we're going to be doing the show is right now the plan is to watch 3 episodes a week, every other week, till we're out of episodes. We may change that formatting, because if you're a fan of Steven Universe, you will know that like eventually they go to a different release format called Bombs that just fuck everything up. And so I don't know what we're going to do when we get there. We'll figure it out. We've got some time. That doesn't start till like in season 2. So
I feel
we'll
like
get through season 1.
I feel like the Steven Baum format was Cartoon Network low-key trying to kill it. Just because it was so unpredictable. It's the same fucking shit that Nickelodeon did with Avatar: The Last Airbender too.
That's fair, but I don't know. It's one of those things where it's like, if Cartoon Network wanted to kill it, why would they go through? They did so much promoting it, though. They did that. They did a partnership with Dove about like an anti-bullying campaign. There were all of the comic books. There was all of like, it was a merchandising cash cow once they figured out how to merchandise it. And according to Rebecca Sugar, like the Bomb format is something that they enjoyed being able to like release like chunks of the story at a time that were heavily serialized like that.
Okay.
When we get to the Bombs, maybe I'll do some research and we'll pull it up and I'll get some like actual quotes on Rebecca Sugar about it. I didn't do any research on that today because I didn't think about talking about it. But it's very weird. It was very weird. And as like a fan who went through the Steven Bombs, it's just like the Reddit was hilarious at the time because it would be like days since the hiatus has begun. And no one knew when shit was gonna happen. It's like, is the show canceled? Are we gonna get the rest of the season? When are we gonna get the rest of the season? And there was like an 8-month period between, I think that's the longest run of one of the hiatuses, was like not like between seasons, like in the middle of a season there was just an 8-month break in the show. So yeah, that's Steven Universe. Let's talk about Steven Universe a little bit. Wikipedia says, Steven Universe is an American animated television series created by Rebecca Sugar for Cartoon Network. It apparently is Cartoon Network's first animated series to be created solely by a woman. It wasn't... Rebecca Sugar cut her teeth in animation kind of in the Pendleton Ward camp over at Cartoon Network. She worked heavily on Adventure Time. I've been meaning to go in and kind of see, like...
I knew
Rebecca
she was
Sugar's...
a fucking Homestuck.
Yeah. Wait.
Okay, Pendleton Ward
I don't know this.
Pendleton Ward is a fucking Homestuck. You can tell.
All right, hold on. Should I go get tinfoil? The way you said it, you're like, I knew it!
I have very mixed feelings about the Homestuck fandom and my previous involvement with the Homestuck fandom, but sometimes it's just like, you look at somebody else's body of work and it's like, you did your time in the MS Paint Adventure Mines, didn't you? And just her association. I didn't realize she had done work on Adventure Time, but like her association with Pendleton Ward combined with some of the choices aesthetically that were made in Steven Universe lead me to believe that she was definitely a Homestuck.
Well, I guess I need you to... So I don't know fuck or all about Homestuck. Somehow that whole shit missed me. Which is weird, because like August and I are about the same age. So we should have experienced the internet at roughly the same time. And I don't know fuck or all about Homestuck. And I don't know how I missed it.
It was, for some reason, even though like so much of especially the front parts of it were very much aimed at people kind of with, at the very least, my experiences with video games and things like that, it ended up attracting an incredibly young audience. And I bounced off of it twice before I actually managed to really get into it. So it's like, it's not terribly surprising.
It's just weird because I didn't even bounce off of it. I just didn't even interact with it. I knew it existed vaguely, is super weird. But yeah, Rebecca Sugar did a lot of time on Adventure Time. I know that she had an influence on things there, and I need to dive deeper into that, and so maybe we'll talk about it at some point. Because Adventure Time, especially as we go through these episodes, Adventure Time is really weird. That like Adventure Time I feel like to a higher but also lesser extent, the Misadventures of Flapjack are like the Misadventures of Flapjack might be the most important cartoon to come out in the last decade, which is a weird sentence to come out of my human mouth.
As opposed to your alien mouth or your raccoon mouth.
Listen, my raccoon mouth would chitter away about Misadventures of Flapjack. But yeah, anyways, so Steven Universe is a young boy who lives with the Crystal Gems, magical humanoid aliens. Garnet, voiced by Estelle. Amethyst, voiced by Michaela, I believe it's Michaela Diaz. Michaela Dietz, my bad. Sorry, I can't read. And Pearl, voiced by Didi Mongo Hall. Magno Hall. Sorry, geez, I cannot fucking talk today. In the fictional town of Beach City, Steven, who is half gem, has adventures with his friends and helps the gems protect the world from spoiler right there in the fucking synopsis of the show right there, huh? Steven Universe.
To protect
wiki.
the world from devastation and unite all people within our nation.
Yeah, basically. Its pilot was first shown May 21st, 2013. We're not going to watch the pilot. I don't find it interesting. You watched it though, right, August?
Yeah, back when I still had fucking cable, I actually watched it on TV well before the show actually got picked up, so.
It's very interesting. Like the pilot definitely has like you can see all of the DNA that will eventually become the show, but it makes it's such a radical left turn from the show. I don't feel like it does a whole lot of informing of the overall concept. Let's see. So it debuted on May 21st, and the series premiere was in November 2013 of that same year, which is pretty wild. The show runs for 5 seasons. The 5th season concluded last year, January 2019. There was a made-for-TV movie, Steven Universe the Movie, that was in September 2019, and then there was an epilogue series that just wrapped up this year, Steven Universe Future. So yeah, I guess that's pretty much the basics of the show. Apparently, talking about like themes, so major themes for the show are like love and family and the importance of interpersonal relationships. A fun fact about the show is the character of Steven is based on Rebecca Sugar's like actual little brother Steven, who is apparently an artist on the show, which I feel is real weird.
Yeah, that's yeah.
Yeah. And Steven is voiced by Zach Callison. Sorry, I forgot to do Steven's voice actor. So yeah, I guess let's get the fuck into this. So episode 1, Gem Glow. The official synopsis of the show is Steven thinks his favorite ice cream sandwiches are the trick to summoning his magic shield, but he learns otherwise when facing off against an acid-spewing insect monster. Basically, the show starts out, Steven is at the Big Donut. We meet Sadie and Lars, my 2 favorite side characters, especially Sadie. I love her so much. She goes through a fucking journey, man. He is real sad because they have discontinued his favorite ice cream sandwich, Cookie Cat. Sadie and Lars are basically like, you could have a show, if you were like, Sadie and Lars were background characters in some Kevin Smith fucking movie, you'd be like, yeah.
Yeah, that tracks.
So Steven, despondent about the lack of Cookie Cat, goes home where he finds weird gem centipedes, centipedals. That's it. I couldn't remember centipedal. Attacking the house. We're introduced to the gems. They kind of fight off these little ones, but then realize that they don't have, like, they're poofing into nothing, so that must mean that there's a mother around. Steven then discovers that the gyms have stockpiled cookie cats for him because they heard that they were being discontinued. Steven eats them, eats one, sings the cookie cat song, which is good.
It's adorable.
It is. His gym begins to glow. He kind of has a little bit of a panic attack because he can't figure out how to summon his weapon. He then asks the gyms about summoning his weapon. Pearl tells him that he must... I wrote down here, in regards to this scene, basically Pearl is a fucking weeboo. My quote for Pearl here is, "While you were busy being heterosexual, I studied the blade." Which is basically Pearl's character.
Yeah.
She's like, you gotta train real hard. And then Amethyst is like, fuck training, eat donuts, live free, kill your gods. And then Garnet's like, it just fucking happens, dog, like, chill. Steven kind of has a freak out about it. He tries to recreate the situation to summon his gem. It doesn't really work. But then when he kind of like chills out, he does summon his weapon. It's not really a weapon. It's a shield. It's his mom's shield. We'll eventually come to find out. He has this very like magical girl transformation sequence when he does so. Then the big mama centipedal attacks. The gyms are like, stay inside, Steven. He does not stay inside. He grabs the Cookie Cat refrigerator, a bunch of extension cords, and shoves Cookie Cats in there because he realizes that ice cream is the key to summoning his powers. The centipedal is winning the fight, but Steven throws a rock at it, tries to summon his shield, fails to, gets a little overrun by the centipedal. The centipedal destroys the refrigerator. Steven uses the wreckage of the said refrigerator to attack the centipedal, and then we give the Cookie Cat a Viking funeral. The end. So I feel like, so I kind of have, we both have notes, so bear with us, everybody, as we kind of go through this. We don't really know how to do this show.
It doesn't involve dice or pretending to be other people.
Yeah, so we have to be ourselves and also our thoughts. So this is going to be a hard one for us. One thing I really like about this episode is just like how quickly you get a vibe. Like, one thing about Steven Universe that I really enjoy is like it is a character-driven show, and it lets you know that from like the jump. Like, you know exactly who everyone's character is the second they hit the fucking screen. Like, even Sadie and Lars, you're like, oh, I know them. I get these people. I just really like how like quickly we establish characters. And also Steven, there were a lot of complaints about season 1 Steven being like incredibly annoying, which is true sometimes. But having lately interacted with an 11 to 12 year old, which is about how old Steven is here.
He's a fucking kid, like,
and he feels like a fucking kid too. Like,
yeah.
He doesn't feel like he doesn't have like the early Harry Potter novel vibe of like this kid is too smart, is basically a tiny adult. Like, he feels like a kid. He's not like a dumb kid, or he's not like an immature kid. He seems like a fairly he's a little hyperactive, but like he's not
He's a fairly well-adjusted, normal child.
Yeah, and it's real weird. Like, it's good. I like how nice he is, you know? I like how people are nice to Steven. Like the thing I like about Steven Universe is that, like, there aren't dumb adults, or the adults aren't mean, or the older people aren't mean. Like, Sadie... like, Lars is mean, but that's just Lars's character. Lars is the mean boy. Like, he's got gauges. Of course he's mean, right? But like, people are like nice to Steven, and it's nice to see people be nice to the kid. Like, I don't know. It feels good, I think. Especially like when the cookie cat part comes around. Like the way the gems are just like, just let him do his little song and they look like happy that he's happy, you know? Like it very much like quickly establishes like, okay, this is like an actual, like this feels like a good little family unit, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like it's pretty obvious just from the jump that these characters genuinely care about each other. You know, they're not just random people who happen to live together, and also just there happens to be a kid banging around. Like they care about each other.
Right. Also, I have here, I love that Pearl casually breaks that fucking centipedal's neck.
Yeah. Oh my god. Also, like, Amethyst going, "We went out and stole them," is just like, she's be gay, do crimes embodied, isn't she?
She is, yeah. That's the. So they work on these, but like they do such a good job of establishing the gems as these stock sort of characters. Like Pearl is the overprotective one, like Amethyst is the slacker, Garnet is like the strong silent leader type, right? And then from basically this episode forward, they just begin, they're like, cool, how do we fuck with this forever? And seeing them in their like the proto first introduction form after like having, you know, existed with these characters for 7 years. Oh my god.
Oh boy.
It takes 7 years to release 5 seasons of a fuck. Anyways, still mad at Cartoon Network. But like it, you know, they do a really good job of like establishing these characters up front, but then letting those characters evolve. Like this season more so than the later seasons is much more episodic, but they do a pretty good job of like letting that episodic stuff like carry weight with it and move forward into the rest of the show. There are already like little tiny details that are in here, like that there's like a glow stick bracelet that's in the freezer, which is why I know that this episode had to come later in fucking production. We'll talk about that when we get to episode 2, but like that little bracelet comes up later on. Like they drop a whole lot of details of stuff that's going to eventually come back up. And characters are the same way. They like to drop a whole lot of like, not hints, but like they reward you for paying attention to the show, which is interesting for a kid's show. Because this is a kid's show and it's aimed at kids without, it doesn't feel, I don't know. I've never felt that like Steven Universe is like a kids show. You know what I mean?
Well, it's one of those things where it's definitely a kids show, but it treats its audience the way that it treats Steven, by acknowledging that, you know, they are people who may not be fully done baking, but they're people, and you know, don't deserve to be talked down to.
Right. It's a kid show, but it trusts its audience.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is rare and rarer. Let's see. Pearl is a weeb, is my note here. Pearl is the most fucking anime character in this entire goddamn episode.
She's so fucking anime. I remember like when I first saw like her character design and like the way that like rose petals are involved with her talk of Steven, and she gives me heavy Utena vibes.
Oh yeah.
Like,
so I know that Revolutionary Girl Utena is like one of Rebecca Sugar's like top pieces of media ever.
And I mean, it's real fucking good, so
it's true. And anime comes up a lot in Steven Universe. Rebecca Sugar describes Steven Universe as a magical girl anime. I would disagree. I would say it's what if a shonen anime was all about being nice. Because like I feel like it's a lot. It's got a lot more of that like shonen anime of like with the power of friendship will kill God energy.
I mean, to be fair, there's a lot of like magical girl stuff that's like with the power of friendship will kill God. So, you know, I can see it either way.
I feel like plot structure wise has a lot more to like. It's the escalation of villains feels more like a shonen anime. But we'll get there eventually. Like right now, we're still in episodic land. So what do you think? So did you know before like the whole thing, like Steven's like gem weapon was a shield? Like, did you know that before it appeared?
Yes, I did. Because I have seen. Yeah. No, I mean, I saw a few episodes in season 1, including the one that we were talking about before we started recording, which has been burned into my memory ever since.
Tune in next episode for that one, guys. Oh my god.
Oh boy. But yeah, I did know that it was a shield. And, you know, if we're talking about this in like shonen anime terms, that is a really interesting thing because, you know, the shonen protagonist's weapon is usually something cool and badass, and I think it speaks a lot to who Steven is as a person, that his weapon is a shield.
Yeah.
Well, his quote-unquote weapon. I mean, you know, Captain America, it's a weapon.
He does use it offensively eventually, too.
Yeah. Shield bash is a perfectly reasonable feat to take as a fighter.
It's a perfectly reasonable thing to do in an actual fight. But yeah, I think it's interesting that they set that up straight from the beginning. Like it's watching it with the information that I have. It's obvious that they haven't fully cooked what the full on, like they have an ethos for the show, but they haven't fully nailed it down. But it's obvious from the beginning they're trying to set up like this isn't going to be like this is like his weapon is a shield. We're making a statement about the character by doing this, and by making this statement, we're also making a statement about how the show is going to progress.
Yeah.
Which I think is good. I also have here the music fucking slaps. This show has such good fucking music just all throughout it. Best soundtrack of any animated show. Kipo and Age of the Wonder Beasts is a close second, but it only loses points because most of its music is licensed.
Shit.
And Steven Universe's music is all done in-house. It's done by an artist pair called Avi and Shirasu. Avi and Shirasu. I may be pronouncing that incorrectly. But they're apparently like a married couple who compose things, and they're really good. I've watched a number of interviews about their ethos for doing the music for the show, and we'll get into it. I think when we get into like more music in the show, probably when we get to Giant Woman, we'll talk about it. But yeah. So yeah, So also, I'd be remiss to say, like, I love the Cookie Cat song. It's adorable.
It's so cute.
It's super cute. It's also the plot of the show.
Oh my god. How did I fucking miss that?
Okay, I guess not the plot of the show, but it is the story of Rose Quartz and the Crystal Gems.
Jesus.
And it's hilarious. Just for episode 1, they're just like, hey...
Oh my god.
I
am not a clever man.
It's okay. It took a long time for the rest of the world to figure it out once we actually got all the information, so. Speaking
of Cookie Cat, I don't know if this was necessarily intentional, but I did kind of the way that the actual Cookie Cats themselves kind of got treated puts me in mind of a Tumblr post, because I live terminally online, that was talking about like how the whole attitude of I'm gonna save these special things forever is just kind of crummy, and you should go ahead and crack open that special bottle of wine or eat off of that special china, because life's too fucking short. And just, because, like, Steven's, I think it's, like, his entire stash or most of his stash gets fucking nuked by the mama centipedal.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I just thought that was kind of interesting, and just like, don't, the idea of not being precious about enjoying something special, because God only knows when a giant alien monster is going to spray it down with acid.
Yeah, exactly. And then you've got to throw the remains out of it at that monster to save your moms.
Yeah. You never know when that's going to happen, so eat those fucking ice cream sandwiches.
Well, it's really interesting. You bring up that point, and I didn't think about this, is like that the fact that Steven doesn't think to do that same thing. Like, Steven doesn't go to the grocery store to buy more cookie, or just, buy the rest of the Cookie Cats, right? For one, I don't know if Steven understands that the Big Donut is not. We never see a grocery store, but we do see the Big Donut often. I'm just gonna say. So I don't know where Steven gets his food outside of the Big Donut. But like, he doesn't think to save those things, but the gyms do, and I think that's really, like, that is I don't know if it's intentional or not, but as the series progresses, like, their relationship with, like, the past and holding on to things becomes, like, a very, like, crucial plot point, and I don't know if it was intentional of setting that up, or, like, a subtle nod to that, or if it's just, like, a coincidence. Who will know? I don't think anyone's ever been like, so Rebecca, in an interview about the Cookie Cats and their symbolic meaning. Steven just, when he realizes they're not working, just eats all the Cookie Cats. Gonna die fucking fat.
Yeah.
Mood.
Oh.
Die fat, die happy.
That brings me to something that I jotted down, and will tie back into something that we were talking about beforehand, that we were like, wait, we should save this for the pod.
Oh, yeah.
Like, Steven's character design is great. All of the character designs are really great. I really appreciate the diversity of body types, because that's not something that you typically see, like, anywhere on
right.
in
like,
animation, like or in, well, specifically like the female body types that we see, because animating diverse women is too hard, according to Pixar and DreamWorks and Disney, who can all suck my left toe. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, exactly. Like, they from the jump, they're like, for one, like, our main protagonist is like a chubby little boy. He's a chubby little boy.
Yeah.
Steven is friend-shaped, like, which is probably good character design. Immediately you see Steven, you're like, that's my friend. Steven is a friend shape. But, like, Amethyst is like she a thick girl, and then also Garnet is thick with two C's.
Yeah.
I have a note here I need to read when we get to the Sea Spire episode about Garnet. Don't let me forget. But you're right. The character design in the show is, everybody looks like a real fucking person, even the aliens.
Yeah.
And it's good. Like, it's one thing I just don't think about, because like there are other animated shows that I like that don't do this as well. Like, Adventure Time has not got a good track record for this, though Adventure Time is a lot more stylized than Steven Universe is. Though they could do something. Like, they could easily, like, it does say something that, like, their two main female leads are, Bubblegum and Marceline, and they're really, like, they're just, like, rail-thin ladies, right?
Yeah.
And then, you see the same thing in like I'm trying to compare it to like contemporaries, not like the stuff before, but or like I guess like a show you prop up is like the Avatar: The Last Airbender stuff, like all of those, like all of their characters kind of fit a certain type of body type, which is I guess a thing. I'm trying to think of like less, because like Steven Universe falls kind of in the middle between like highly stylized like Adventure Time or Gravity Falls, and like a more not realistic but like more anime sort of vibe like Avatar: The Last Airbender. So it's kind of hard to compare it to other things because obviously it's got a vibe, but it's not necessarily as hard of a stylized vibe as some other things.
Yeah. And I think that's really going to be like the only comment that I have on the animation itself, unless there's like some really interesting background set pieces and stuff, just because like I know that Steven Universe has gotten slammed for like characters being notoriously not on model, like Steven and Peridot. I know have been called out for that. Yeah. But
Peridot Gate.
Yeah. Bigger Peridot theory. But I'm not really interested in talking about it on that.
I don't know why
particular...
that's me so hard. I'm sorry, Hawkins.
It's okay.
Bigger Peridot. Like I'm like the audience of one you needed for that joke. Anyways, sorry.
No, it's okay. I'm not interested in talking about it visually like that, just because I've followed several people in the animation industry, and one of the things that typically indicates is like that usually indicates that like storyboarders have a lot of creative influence on episodes.
So that's an interesting point that you bring out, because like in the Wikipedia article, I didn't read it, but apparently the way it's a storyboard driven show. So like they do the storyboards, and then the people who make the storyboards also like are responsible for writing dialogue and creating action. Like it's entirely birthed out of the storyboarding process.
Yeah. I think that was actually something that I gleaned from, what's her name? She did Manly Guys Doing Manly Things. Kelly Turnbull. For what it's worth, she's really worth following on Twitter. And if you haven't read Manly Guys Doing Manly Things, please do. It's hilarious. It was just she had this huge thread about that, because that was something that she kept seeing that irked her, because she herself is a storyboard artist. Mm-hmm. And so from that respect, I'm not interested in talking about like the visuals or the animation. But I know that you had something to say about the animation in the first few minutes of the episode, so
yeah. Not in this episode, but in episode 2.
Oh, that's right.
Let's go ahead and move on to episode 2 before we get like too deep in the weeds here. I feel like we're already deep in the weeds. Welcome to the weeds. This is the show where we're going to be in the weeds a lot.
Yeah.
So the official synopsis of episode 2, Laser Light Cannon. I almost read the wrong thing. Okay, a magical comet it's not a comet. It's a pretty. Anyways, a magical comet hurtles towards Bitch City. And Steven must dig through his father's collection of old junk and the past to find a weapon that can save the town. Basically, Steven and Amethyst are out getting the bits, which are the fry bits from the bottom of the fryer.
You know what? Those, especially like if you can get those, if a Long John Silver's exists in your area, bits at Long John Silver's, holy fucking shit. Bits. So good.
Hands down the best bits. Also probably the only place you can get the bits on the menu.
Yeah.
They know. No one wants their shit fish. They just want the bits.
I like their shit fish.
hot takes coming at you about fish.
Yeah.
They notice a giant red orb in the sky. They rush to Garnet and Pearl, who are like, it's a red eye. It's some sort of alien threat to the town. They cannot defeat it. They need the laser light cannon, a special weapon that Steven's mother, Rose Quartz, had. They're like, it's lost. And Steven's like, well, my dad might have it. And they're like, ooh, your dad, Steven. Ooh.
Well, specifically, Amethyst is like, your dad is a mess. And I was sitting there thinking, damn, mood.
We are all Greg Universe in the year of our Lord 2020. That's for sure.
Yeah.
We could only hope to be Greg Universe, frankly. Steven runs off to Greg. We find Greg, who lives in his van outside of the car wash that he owns. He owns that car wash. Thank you very much. Small business owner. Helps the local economy or whatever. I don't understand how money works since the world of Steven Universe. So they go to his storage unit to try and find the laser light cannon. Greg tells a frankly heartwarming scene where Greg talks about the first time that he met Rose. Steven finds the laser light cannon. We listen to one of Greg's old CDs. We go to the beach. We can't activate the laser light cannon, but Steven gives the laser light cannon a pep talk and then repeats a phrase that his dad had been saying the whole episode. If every pork chop was perfect, we wouldn't have hot dogs. And then the cannon activates. There is if you didn't think that these artists were into anime before, you will after that scene.
Oh, Jesus.
We'll talk about it. And the red eye is destroyed. Everybody has a good laugh. The end. So what do you think about episode 2?
So, I had a note here, because while Steven is in his dad's storage unit, which, by the way, like, Greg gives off some serious hoarder vibes from that storage unit. So it's just like, is Greg okay? But he said, we were always together until she gave up her physical form to bring you into the world. Like, that is not a really appropriate thing to saddle your kid with.
Welcome to Steven Universe.
That sure is a lot to put on your kid's shoulders, huh?
We'll get into this. That becomes kind of a crux of the show writ large, is like Steven dealing with the legacy of his mother.
Yeah.
It's probably one of the biggest plot points. I mean, it is, hands down. Rose Quartz casts a big, big, big shadow over the show. I actually had I had a note about that. In the quick scene where they mention Rose Quartz, like, one thing I've always loved about Steven Universe is the little animation details that they give to people to, like, let you know what their actual emotions on the thing are. Like, you can tell that these people miss Rose. There's like a flash of like kind of like a longing look from Pearl. Everyone seems bummed when talking about Rose, right? And they kind of establish that, like, okay, so, like, it's obviously obvious, you know, we get to Greg, okay, well, she's gone, she's basically dead. You know, this is kind of a story of, like, a mother who died in childbirth, you know. And it's, I don't know, it's very, very interesting. But you're right, it is a lot to fucking saddle a kid with. Like, your mom gave up her physical form for you, Steven. And Lion 2 direct-to-video, we get into a little bit more of that. But yeah, you are correct. It is a lot, and it will continue to be a lot.
Yeah. I think it was also around that time, or maybe it was while they were in the van, driving over with the laser light cannon. But Greg said, I never understood what she saw in me. And I'm kind of interested to see where this goes because, like, the hot wife, schlubby husband trope is really frustrating.
Greg was not schlubby back in the day. It's really fun to see young Greg.
Okay.
Because so the kind of the I don't know if they had worked this out by then, but the timeline is like so the gyms have been around for a long time.
Yeah, I knew that.
And Greg probably, it's kind of hard to nail down when Greg met Rose, but it was probably like the early 90s, and Steven is only 11. So he was with Rose for a long time. So he met Rose when he was like in his mid 20s.
Okay.
So Greg was full on rock star mode when he met Rose, and it's pretty fun. When we get to start seeing like flashbacks between Greg and Rose, it's really good.
Okay. In that case, I retract that note.
Also, have you seen Rose outside of the picture that's like on the wall in the building? I guess you've seen art of her probably.
Oh yeah. I have some friends who've done like cosplay and stuff. So like, you know, again, as a side effect of being terminally online, I do know what Rose looks like, and I also know she's a war criminal.
Yeah, well, you know, who's not anymore, right?
Yeah.
All of our favorite characters are war criminals. Big Boss, Rose.
Yeah, it's fine.
Definitely Ocelot.
Oh yeah.
I hope you came to the Steven Universe podcast wanting to talk about Metal Gear Solid, because we're in that hellspace right now. I guess you should probably plug our Twitch. Anyways, so you had brought up not commenting on the art. I'm going to comment two things on the art. I'm going to start positive and then end negative. Okay. Mm-hmm. The backgrounds on this show. This show has some of the best fucking background art ever. Like Beach City is always like solid, like fucking lo-fi jams to study to, like backgrounds, and it's so good.
Yeah.
Like the background art is so good in this show. I love it. And also, what the fuck happens to the like? There's like Peridot not being the same height as Steven, and then like the hard left turn of animation styles from episode 1 to episode 2.
Well, again, that goes back to the creative control that the individual boarders had over the episodes that they were working on.
That's true. I didn't realize that was like you brought that when you said that was, I didn't realize that was a thing. So like I feel less weird about it. Mm-hmm. Also, I feel like episode 1 was made later in production than episode 2 and 3.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like they had nailed down the house style yet.
Yeah.
Which is fine. I don't care. We get some of the best like weird like Pearl memes come, like the best Pearl memes all come from like these first 3 episodes, because Pearl makes so many weird faces.
Yeah. Which I mean is also interesting because, you know, going back to, you know, the diversity of female body types, like in a lot of instances in Western animation, at least, you know, female characters don't typically get to be as expressive as the male characters. So, I mean, Garnet aside, because she's Garnet, like, you know, just the wacky facial expressions we see, even though they're like super exaggerated and maybe some weird stylistic choices, it is still interesting that gets to happen.
Right. It does. It feels that part, like the rapid shifts feel very anime.
Yeah.
Like that feels like some 90s anime shit, because that would happen constantly in 90s anime.
Oh yeah.
And like 90s anime is where Steven Universe fucking lives.
Yeah.
Like, again, coming back to background art, to shows with the best background art: Steven Universe, Sailor Moon. Like you can pull like stills from their background art and then make it the like every scene has a still you can pull and make that background art your fucking desktop wallpaper.
Yeah.
So before we get to like kind of the end of the episode, listening to your old music with young kids is exactly that fucking awkward. I need to tell this story. So I used to be in bands, and Shannon's son had begun playing guitar, and we were like driving in the car and everything, and like Shannon's my girl. She's from our other show. I'm dating her. We're in a relationship. That I don't know why I need that back. Anyways, I just feel like I need to explain who Shannon is to people who are watching this show, but not coming from one of our many other shows.
And also explain the provenance of Daniel, so that way people know that you're not just randomly driving around kids in cars.
It's true. I'm definitely not doing that. Anyways, he just started playing guitar, and I was like, oh, I used to play guitar. He's like, oh, cool. I'm like, I used to be in bands. He's like, oh, neat. And so I was like real excited to like show him like a YouTube video of like my old band, right? Because like I always felt we were pretty fucking cool, right? And then he watched and he's like, nah. And I'm like, oh, cool. Crushed me like the weight of the sun.
Fucking get wrecked.
I got destroyed by this child.
Nobody can destroy millennials like Zoomers can.
He's younger than a Zoomer. Whatever the fuck comes after Zoomer, that's what Daniel is. And he destroyed me, reduced me to just like fucking atoms. Which is fair. That video was like almost as old as him, so fuck it.
Wow.
That's probably not true, but you know, anyways. So as we move into like the end of the episode, the palette shift is so good. Fuck.
Yeah.
So good looking. Evangelion has arrived in Steven Universe.
Whew.
Because it gives me like mad Evangelion, like the fucking angels are attacking vibes.
Yeah, I can see that.
I love how sweet Steven's such a sweet boy. He gives the canon a pep talk. It's like, you can do it, canon. You can't just be useless.
Also,
so
just
good.
Garnet yeeting Amethyst is so good. It's so good. I really, like, I enjoy that relationship dynamic. Just, you know, Garnet appears to be the sensible one, but she can't be the sensible one because she's the one who's like throwing her comrade into a glowing death orb.
Right, and like that joke is so stupid and funny as shit. Like I chuckled every time in the background Amethyst would hit the eye.
It's so good.
It's just like a low-key joke. Like we'll get into it in kind of like in episode 3 where I feel like some of the comedy that is indicative of where the comedy is coming out of like a relationship, and it's like it's funny because it's a pretty basic joke, but it also like helps inform the characters and their relationships. Like it tells you things about the characters just by their actions, which is really good. Like again, Steven Universe is a show that I really love for like it's got great storytelling, but it has some of the best, most nuanced, like character-driven animation that I've seen like up until very recently. I hadn't seen in other shows. Maybe we'll do a back channel eventually of like She-Ra, but because I'm also coming off of that. But yeah, that palette shift is. Looks so fucking good.
Yeah. It's the show is so like the colors are very lush in this show.
And the animation sometimes it's easy to see where the budget for the fucking episode goes to.
Shit.
Cuz the budget to this episode went to the last third of this episode.
Yeah.
I feel like. But they spent that money well.
Oh yeah.
I can't blame them.
Oh yeah.
Because it's so good. Bro, like the just fucking magical girl Power Rangers attack of from Rose's cannon.
Oh my god, yeah, the way the beam turned into roses that twined around each other, which I just realized, the rose theme for rose quartz, but also Pearl is surrounded by rose petals. It's like, man, that they were not subtle about the fact that Pearl was in love with rose quartz, huh?
I mean, she wasn't just in. I guess it's ambiguous. I don't feel like it's ever ambiguous in the show. Like, she wasn't just in love with Rose. They were in a relationship. I think Rebecca has talked about it before in interviews, but like they were together. So I guess until Greg came along, it's weird how their relationship was not one of monogamy, because they're millennia old space monsters, so
yeah.
But like, so people talk about like Rose reciprocating her feelings, and we'll get into that as the show goes on.
Yeah.
But I never felt that it was ever like one-sided. Was it complicated? Very much so. But we'll get there.
Yeah. I don't know enough to really draw my own conclusions. I just know that Pearl was in love with Rose.
That is a true statement, and yes. There is no ambiguity there. So yeah, that is episode 2. So let's get ahead.
Nope, I'm not done here.
Oh, okay. Oh, geez. All right. Fine.
Sorry. I just wanted to say that it is fun and refreshing to see actual collateral damage from this magical girl ass bullshit. I'm sure
you saved most of Beach City.
Yeah. How much is insurance in Beach City? Is there just like a crystal gem rider that you have to get whenever you live there? Like,
that is so the weird alternate history that is the world of Steven Universe is so interesting, and I would love a book about the differences, because like everybody knows the gems are there, and I don't know if they know that they're aliens. They know they're weird, and then like monsters attack all the time, but no one seems to give a dusty fuck. And like we'll go to locations that are theoretically on Earth, or not theoretically, that are on Earth, and are so big that humans have to know about them. And it gets wild, and I don't understand, but probably yes. I guess it's probably very expensive to live in Beach City,
even aside from the fact that it's beachfront property. But yeah, I just thought that was fun. It was,
yeah.
I thought it was worth calling out.
Yeah, definitely. So moving on to episode 3, Cheeseburger Backpack.
Little bit is excited about Cheeseburger Backpack.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, he's showing up on my waveform, even though Discord doesn't seem to give a flying fuck about what he has to say.
I'll leave it in, don't worry. I'll amplify it. In fact, I'll isolate him and give him his own track. The official synopsis here. A mission to the Lunar Sea Spire takes a treacherous turn, but Steven has packed his totally amazing cheeseburger backpack with anything they could ever need. So the episode starts out with Jamie the postman delivering Steven a package.
So
go on, sorry.
So in the year of our Lord 2020, Steven in that scene is expressing the eternal pandemic online retail therapy mood.
God, yes. Except I would never be this close to my postman.
Yeah.
Again, we come back to editorialize a little bit. Again, we come back to adults being so nice to Steven.
Yeah.
Jamie is playing with him in like a nice way where it's like obvious that like people are like, oh yeah, this weird kid. We must protect him. He's friend shaped.
Yeah.
Look at him. So Jamie arrives and gives Steven a Wacky Sax Supply Company box. The light goes on inside of the temple. Steven runs in to find the gems there. Amethyst is trying to put a big egg in the fridge. She maybe succeeds. And Pearl informs Steven that they must, they're only here for a moment. They must head back out to the Lunar Sea Spire, where they must put the Moon Goddess statue into it to save it. They're gay. If you didn't know, we've got to save the Moon Goddess statue.
So at this point, because of the internet, I know that the gems, like as a whole, not the crystal gems, but the gems as a whole, were a colonizing force. And Pearl says that it was an oasis for gems on Earth. Is this something that we ever go back to as for like what that really means, and as far as like this temple is concerned? Like,
not the Lunar Sea Spire, because it is,
well,
spoiler.
I mean, yes, yes.
But we do come across other gym. There are other gym locations that come up as the series goes on, and we do talk about like the gyms aren't just a colonizing force. The cost of that colonization of the gym empire plays a significant plot point. I feel like it shifts a little bit as the show goes on. Like, we don't talk about the Lunar Sea Spire being an oasis later, or what that means, but we do talk about like the cost of of this colonization on the planet and the people does come up and becomes like a major plot point.
Yeah, and like I do also find it, this, I don't know, this episode almost doesn't age well in today's climate, with the fact that, like, knowing that the gems aren't great, having an episode about trying to save like this structure that the gems have left on Earth for like its historical value just is super sour right now.
That's very true. I did not really put it into that context. It becomes like less important later on, like, or as Pearl evolves, but like Pearl trying to like cling on to the past does become a plot point. Like Pearl trying to like hang on to that, like kind of like her gym heritage, as it were.
Yeah. And
bad use of language, frankly.
Oh God. Like I don't know, like, I mean, okay, I don't want to say nobody could have predicted what's happening right now, because like lots of fucking people predicted what's happening right now, and other people chose not to listen to them. But like, yeah, this, especially like Pearl says, roundabouts there, this place is your heritage, and it's just like, again, that's not something that really ages well.
The one thing I would say is that in the broader context of the show, Steven does have to come to grips with that heritage, with that legacy of being part of a colonizing force, of being part of this destructive thing, and what his place in that was, and was parents, like his mother's place in it, and the gym's place in it. Amethyst is a little bit different. We'll get to that. But like, Pearl also has to come to grips with these things, because part of what Pearl is hanging on to here is like, she honestly does not, I don't think she cares so much about Steven learning about his heritage or his history, though I guess like learning about the weird alien half of you is probably somewhat important. But I think what we kind of find out, like, is Pearl hanging on to the past is part of the coping mechanisms that she's developing to deal with the loss of Rose Quartz. And a lot of the bad behavior, it's interesting to see a lot of the behaviors of the gems that are like rote character, like stock character traits, are do eventually you kind of come find out, oh, they've settled into these roles as like a coping mechanism to get through the day of dealing with this loss of this person who was important to them, you know. So it does, these concepts do get examined and put out there. Now whether you find those satisfactory, we don't know. We'll have to get there, but they do touch on it. For context to the listener who doesn't know us, we're two Southern people.
Yeah.
In the year of our Lord 2020, literally my town is currently trying to change the mascot of a fucking high school whose mascot is the Rebels. Yeah, which is bullshit. I'll go on that rant eventually about how I'm from East fucking Tennessee and we didn't even want to join the fucking Confederacy. Motherfuckers in Cades Cove, like 20 minutes away from my house, jumped Confederate platoons. We almost broke off into our own state, and I fucking wish we had. People in Appalachia did not want to fight this fucking war. Anyways. Maryville's a fucking abolitionist town. Our college was an Anyways.
There's so much of Southern culture that is dependent upon a fuck the police attitude, and yet we're sitting here with fucking thin blue line flags everywhere. What the fuck, people?
Right? Especially up here in the fucking mountains. Like, people mad that, like, fucking... Like, that fucking Blue Lives Matter car in the fucking NASCAR. Motherfucker, that whole goddamn sport was invented because we were outrunning the goddamn cops. Like, fuck cops.
Yeah.
Defund the police. Get rid of that fucking rebel flag. Drink moonshine. Shoot guns. Live your fucking life. Like,
just don't shoot guns at minorities.
Yeah, don't do that. Like, shoot guns in a recreational sense.
Yeah, because I live in the Metro Atlanta area, and boy howdy, are people shooting guns who don't need to be shooting guns.
That's fucking for sure. Anyways, this cartoon.
Yeah.
Where were we? We got lost in the episode description. They go to the spire. Steven's backpack becomes very useful. He has all kinds of good solutions to problems. Except they get to the top. In the exuberance of packing his backpack, he left the moon goddess statue back at the house. They use Mr. Queasy, the little doll that he has, to try as a replacement. It does not work, but everything's okay in the end.
Yeah.
I would like to say, of these 3 episodes this week, I feel like this was the weakest. It wasn't bad. I'm not saying it was a bad episode.
No, I mean,
but I feel like it doesn't hit quite as hard as the other ones. Like what I was talking about with the comment. So at the beginning, so I have a note here. When Pearl like talks to Steven about being serious, I like the dialogue that Pearl says to him because it feels like an actual parent talking to an actual child. Mm-hmm. Of trying to calm yourself down from being really excited from a thing, so you're not yelling at your kid, but you're trying to get through to them the importance of the situation. And then the weird joke that came after that fell as flat as fuck to me.
I don't know.
Steven like does the thumbs up thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like there's some interesting stuff here, you know, as just even aside from like how weird the themes of this episode are in today's climate. I thought that it was really interesting and telling the way that Pearl is so fucking gung-ho about this mission. And Garnet and Amethyst don't really seem to give a shit. They're just doing it. It seems like they're just along for the ride because this is Pearl's thing.
Right. Like, Pearl seems very concerned about the condition of this place.
Yeah.
Garnet and Amethyst are like, whatever.
Yeah, and it was really good for, like, examining the relationship that the gems have with Steven because of the way that they allow him to have some agency, but it's more realistic than, like, you see in other cartoons with child protagonists, because it's like, you know, they want to encourage him to have ideas and come up with solutions. And I don't know. I thought that there was a lot of good character stuff in this episode.
It's true. I guess I did take a lot of notes on it, so I don't know. I wrote here, first note for this episode, the lore is here, baby. Because I feel like this is, though, to be perfectly honest, the last episode also had some good lore that was more in reference to, like, to Rose. And also, the fact that the red eye feels like something from an invading, like, feels like a real weapon that somebody sent, you know what I mean? But they don't really comment on where it came from, which I thought was interesting. That I had a note written down, I didn't fucking say anything. I guess, like, I had, my note here is, this feels like it's more of the actual first episode than Gym Glow was.
Yeah, I can see that.
Because here it's like, so, like, I like the character interactions, but there's the comedy, the way that the comedy and the jokes work in this don't feel the same as they did in Gym Glow and Laserlight Cannon. Like, here is where I feel like the most of that residual Adventure Time DNA was living.
Yeah, I can see that.
You know, there's, like, non sequitur humor that just doesn't. Non sequitur humor is just, like, not the way Steven Universe deals with things. But I think it was the weakest of these 3 episodes, but I didn't think it was bad by any stretch. I did like that they low key kind of, like, let everyone's powers shine. Like, Pearl with her holograms, Garnet's real strong, Amethyst with the whip and stuff like that. That was good. I like what you're saying, like, they were letting Steven have agency. Because, like, there's no doubt in my mind the Gyms could have done this.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And, like, they would have done this just fine. But, like, when they figure out that, like, Steven's solutions are working, they encourage him, they get him to do stuff. And then when it fails, they don't harp or make, like, at no point do they ever tear Steven down, like when the raft just kind of falls over the edge, which I did think was hilarious.
That was fucking hilarious.
But they don't harp on it. They're like, okay, it's whatever, man. Like, shit doesn't pan out every time. At that point, I have my very important Garnet note when Garnet, like, casually does that sick ass, like, anime knock down that pillar thing. I wrote, in regards to Garnet, to quote Noelle Stevens, Wife City.
I actually made a note on that section that was just heart eyes. So, I mean, I'm glad we're on the same page here. But yeah, going back
apparently Noelle Stevens had, like, written on a board at the She-Ra facility, Wife City. Like,
nice.
was there, like, one of their overarching principles there. But
yeah, going back to that point about how they don't tear Steven down, I did think that was also really good. Like, the way that it emphasizes, like, the Gems and Steven have a loving relationship, and even Pearl, who was so gung-ho about this, still, like, didn't express anger at Steven or try to punish him or anything like that.
Right. And, like, the Gems eventually get serious. Like, there are points in time where the Gems are very... when the Gems overreact and don't treat Steven great, as we evolve these characters. But that's also... it feels like a real family. Like, this was a low-stakes situation, even for the Gems who... like, even for Pearl, who cared about this, right? This is a low-stakes situation. This is just something that she kind of wanted to keep around, but it was... already in bad condition when she showed up, you know? So like it wasn't there was no reason in her mind to like harp on this for Steven. He tried really hard, mistakes happen, you know? And like you said, it feels good for them to be like still encouraging Steven, like listen, kid, you did good. Like who knows if that would have even worked, you know? So that was really nice. I do kind of wish that when the packing scene was happening earlier in the show, they had foreshadowed that Steven had left the statue behind a little bit more or at all.
Yeah.
Like maybe there was just like it was on the bed as he moved out of the bedroom or something like that. And like not noticeable, not like the camera doesn't pull to it, but like if you were paying attention, it was there, you know? But that's just like a nitpick, really. I don't think it's necessary for the episode to be better or anything like that. Pour one out for Mr. Queasy.
Rip.
Who, frankly, that doll is hilarious. That is a joke that I think is fucking hilarious.
Oh, God, yes.
It's... I think at one point in time I had to my text message, like, ringtone was like, oh, don't shake me, kid. Like... Mr. Queasy is us all.
Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, I don't have any more notes on episode 3. Do you?
Nope. That was all I had.
Well, what'd you think about your first three contiguous episodes of Steven Universe?
I had definitely seen Laser Light Cannon before, because I remember the "Gimme the Bits" line, but I don't know. I feel like this is a really strong start for the series. I agree with you that like episode 3 would have been a shit first episode because of the way that it was structured. Right. It wasn't as in your face.
It does feel like it was. If it wasn't, I don't know if it was the first episode planned, but it feels like it's one of the earliest episodes in production.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just wasn't as in your face about like the characterization, and you don't really get a good feel for like the setting of Beach City, so. Right.
And it's going to come up. I guess like right now, if you're a person out there in the Steven Universe fandom who doesn't like the interstitial episodes or like the towny episodes, fuck off. I love the towny episodes. I love every denizen of Beach City. To me, there are no fucking filler episodes of this show. I do have, like, if I'm trying to get somebody onboarded to the series, like, what episodes you can skip in season 1 and not miss a whole lot. But that's not because I think those episodes are bad. It's just, like, there's 52 fucking episodes in this, or 49. There's a lot of episodes in this first season. And sometimes you gotta, it's a lot to get through if you're not doing a podcast on it, you know? To that note, one thing I want to say, kind of overall impressions about Steven Universe, for a show that's like 11 minutes long, it never feels like they pack a lot of information and a lot of stuff into 11 minutes without it feeling frenetic. Like it's dense, but not like beat after beat after beat with like no breathing room. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know if that comes through to you.
No, it definitely does. I actually was kind of thinking about, I think it was an interview with Miyazaki at one point, where he talked about how, like, with animation, sometimes you need to just have a moment to have some quiet. And I mean, we already know that there's just like a whole bunch of fucking anime influence in Steven Universe, and I feel like they've definitely worked a couple of moments like that into the episodes.
Yeah, and it's nice to see, like, because they pack in character interactions and a lot of dialogue, and the episodes feel informationally dense without being like exhausting, because they obviously understand that you need time to breathe to really take in like these characters and who these people are.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so weird that to me that it's always been an 11-minute form factor show, and it just does so much with its time, without like it fills every crack without like overwhelming you as a viewer, which is really, really nice. So yeah, so next time, so 2 weeks from now, when you're hearing this, dear viewer, we will be watching the next 3 episodes of Steven Universe, which will be Together Breakfast, Frybo, and Cat Fingers, 2 of the most fucking disturbing episodes of this show, and maybe Western animation in fucking general. There's a lot of weird horror shit in this first season of Steven Universe. I don't know why.
So, like, as a known body horror liker, Cat Fingers horrified me. That
episode is fucked. Another episode that is fucked, episode 13, So Many Birthdays, that will scar us as well. I'm just giving you a warning.
Oh boy.
So those will be the episodes that we'll be reviewing. So follow us on Twitter if you want to keep up with us. It's at Standing Stones. August and I, if you like this but you want to hear it about Metal Gear Solid, hit August and I up. Currently we're playing through Metal Gear Solid 5. It's the last of the Metal Gear Solid games. We've played through all of them except for Peace Walker and 4. Because I couldn't get the emulator working for Peace Walker, and I hate Metal Gear Solid 4. So we'll soon be moving on to BioShock. But you can check that out on our Twitch. It's just basically go to the Standing Stones Twitch page. That's probably the better option. I think we're going to be migrating over to there. We haven't made a full decision on that, but probably the better of the two ideas. But yeah, check us out at Gay Space Pod on Twitter. Check out Standing Stones, our podcasting guild that we're a part of. We're at Standing Stones. If you want to hear more of us, we have other podcasts. I'm on the Room Where It Happens. August, you want to talk about FTL Cast?
Yeah. For all that I was joking about rolling dice, I'm on Follow the Leader, where we play GM-less tabletop games, which generally don't involve dice. So, if you're interested in an actual play that doesn't involve dice so much, hit us up
right now.
Well, I mean, it's not like we aren't both on another actual play that does involve dice.
I was going to pitch that one after you got done.
Wherein you generally roll really fucking well, by the way.
So good. Dante rolls hot, baby.
Oh my god.
But yeah, FTL Cast, real good show, great characters. We're both on another podcast. We do too many podcasts. It's called Dumb Kids Playing Hero. It's an Animorphs-inspired actual play. Things are starting to pick up, I feel like, if technical difficulties will not... will stop plaguing us every recording session. But yeah. Tune back in 2 weeks from now, where we'll be talking about more Steven Universe. If there's stuff you want us to talk about, there's no Steven Universe news anymore, which is one of the things I kind of like about this.
Shit.
Is that it's a finished thing, so I don't have to talk about it.
We aren't going to pull a Shrieking Shack and plumb the depths of the Steven Universe Reddit.
I could. I haven't been on the Steven Universe Reddit in a hot minute. I still have. We might get in there. Who knows? If you're on the Steven Universe Reddit and you want us to dive back in, give us a shout. Shiz out. But yeah, that's it. I was contemplating maybe I didn't know. I was like, oh, are we gonna be able to fill up enough time to maybe we'll need a backup show eventually. Looking at the hour and a half we've been recording, probably not.
Yeah, no.
Weird that August and I are just verbose about media.
Yeah.
Who would have thought?
We're queer and we have capital O opinions.
We certainly fucking do. So yeah. Tune back in. Stick with us. This should be a fun ride. Stay safe. Fuck capitalism, go home.
I'm so glad you said it, because if you hadn't, I would have.
All right. Peace, y'all.